Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 878. On tonight's show, lots of listener email and feedback, and one of the major topic for tonight is what do we do, my son and myself, what do we do when we get a new computer in setting it up? And we're going to do that in a second. First, want to address a few things, just get some admin stuff out of the way. Last week was impossible, just impossible to be able to do the show. My 44th wedding anniversary was the next day on the August 11th, and we were going away for the weekend. Client work, just so much piling up. It was impossible to do a show. And just hang in there with me. We're going to get to a regular schedule, hopefully soon. And just a couple other things. If anybody remembers the last show, if you were here live, at the end of the show on 877, I had trouble uploading my MP3 from Libsyn. And they wrote back, and that's one of the emails I want to talk about. This, thank you for contacting Libsyn support. It looks like there may be an issue with media file uploads at this time. With that in mind, if you are having issues with your episode upload in Libsyn 4, we would recommend that you try to publish your episode from Libsyn 5. I don't even know the difference between 4 and 5. So I just go to the portal and I upload. So it appears like there's a different link that I have to log in and try, and I might do that tonight. But I found an alternate. Once I could not upload the file, I'm pulling it from the MikeNation.net subdirectory. And I don't know if anybody pays attention to the link like that, but you might have noticed that the link is different for that show. Libsyn, I've been with since almost the beginning, since I've started podcasting over almost 18 years as the host of the media file. And it's been working really, really well. So I stay with them. It's not expensive, and it's really good. All right. For the next big topic, let me go to my test system, and I'm going to read the following email from Austin. And let's do that. He says, "Hi, Mike. When on your latest episode, you spoke about installing VLC and 7-zip and all. I wanted to know, can you please make a show on what do you do after you get a new computer for your clients, for business use and for personal use? Do you do different things for business and different for personal? So after you unbox the PC, how do you optimize Windows? What apps do you install? What apps do you remove? If it's a Dell system, there are a lot of Dell apps like OS Recovery, Support Center, and more. What do you keep and what do you not keep? Thanks." All right, Austin, here you go. I am going to first start whether it's Windows 10 or Windows 11. This is really for the first link for tonight is how to create a local account on Windows 11 Home and Pro editions. On Windows 10 Pro, it's pretty easy. You can go through the options to create a local account. They don't give you, Microsoft, they do not give you that option when you boot up Windows 11 for the first time, when you turn on that new computer. So the first thing we want to do is create a local account. These are different steps, but I'm going to tell you it's the first one that is perfect. You sign in on a Microsoft account using at a.com. And by the way, this works. I do it all the time. Then when you go next, you enter a password. Just make up a password. This is a locked account that it will absolutely fail. And when it does fail, oops, something went wrong. You'll get the screen. And now, who's going to use this device? And you can now create an account that is local for the system. Now, they have a couple methods here that you can take a look at, but no, this first one is perfect and it works. And we do this all the time. So the first thing we do is we create a local account. Then it's updates, updates, updates. Now, I just performed updates on this system. We go, the minute we're in, we first make sure that Windows is activated. So you go to activation and you make sure right here, I'm showing everybody Windows is activated with a digital license, my Windows 10 Pro test system. I don't care what version. If it's Windows 11, you go to the activation, make sure it activated because you just got it online. Next, updates, updates, updates. I run multiple rounds. It takes sometimes 2 to 3 rounds. So the first thing I want to do is, after the regular updates, view optional updates because you're going to get driver updates. And I always go to optional and take a look and see if there are hardware drivers that are needed. Next, especially on a new system, I want to go to Device Manager when that's all done, and I want to make sure there are no yellow marks or an issue with a device driver not working. And I look for that, and then I need to know, do I got to go online? Do I got to go find an update? And the big thing is, hopefully your network adapters are fine because you are online. And trust me, on an older system once, as we were getting it ready, we could not get the Ethernet going, the Ethernet driver or the Wi-Fi. We had to download those drivers. So if it's a Dell or whatever manufacturer, then you got to go to that manufacturer's website, put the version in, download the driver, then make sure it's on. We want to make sure that all of those drivers and updates are done before we begin anything else. Now, Austin asked a very good question. Now, on what do we remove? I'm going to go to settings and apps here under Windows 10. That's what I'm showing on the screen. But the same would go, it's just going to be a different location for Windows 11. But I always go to what apps are installed. And yes, there's a lot of Dell programs that come with our Dells for the business system, or even if it's a personal system. It doesn't matter. I don't like the junk. I don't want the Dell support and the Dell drivers automatically updated without my agreeing to it. So there's a lot of Dell programs we'll uninstall. Now, this is not a Dell, but there are a lot of Dell software, and I have no problem uninstalling all of it. But you got to be careful. There could be like a Dell if it's a laptop, for the trackpad or something related. So you got to be careful. There's any games, even solitaire, I will remove. And this happens more on a personal system, like an Inspiron, as opposed to a Latitude. You know, you'll get all kinds of games. I make sure they're all gone. I delete anything that it allows me. If you take a look at this Xbox game bar, uninstalls grayed out. Any Xbox apps, if this is a business system, I will remove them. And now that I've removed everything and we're fine, I have a standard list of programs that I use from 9night that I pick to install from 9night.com. So I have up on the screen 9night. These are the minimum programs. Chrome, Firefox. You already have Edge on the new system. Now, based on the conversation with the user, almost definitely it's Zoom. I always pick VLC. I want 7-zip as our default for compression program. This is where I check Malwarebytes and install the latest, greatest Malwarebytes, and then I'll activate it with a premium license as we're a Malwarebytes reseller. Attorneys may need CD burner XP. Don't be fooled by XP. It'll work on anything because they're still burning CDs. My attorneys need on their system, they need a DVD burner when I get a system. Let's see. Most of them don't use Evernote or things like that. That's the basic. If it's a personal system for someone, maybe it's a business client, but it's for their home system. If they need iTunes, I will check that. Dropbox. A lot of users now need Dropbox. OneDrive comes installed. You don't have to worry about that. So I never have to install OneDrive again. Now, once you've clicked all of the free programs, the one thing I miss is that Adobe is not listed there. So I'll have to go to Adobe to download Adobe Reader. And we click Get Your 9night. There it is. If I run that program, it will install all of the programs that I checked. Very cool. Now, let me go back to, let's see. You have to find out what other programs does the user need. And here's a good conversation. It's Microsoft Office. You have to have the discussion. Do they have a Microsoft account and password? Because that's when we will go log into Microsoft, get the installer for whatever version. If they have Microsoft 365 or even if they have a personal, you have to get their license. A lot of users have the full Adobe, so we need their Adobe login and password. So this is where it creates a delay with two-factor authentication. Because if we're logging in and installing something, we now got to work with the user so they can give us the code so we can log in and then we can download. So that adds, a few steps. But what other programs? Are we transferring software and the data files from an older system, which does happen a lot? You need to get all the software installed on the new computer, and then that's when we pull out Fab's Auto Backup. And we run that on the old system, get it all backed up onto an external drive, or we physically remove the hard drive and attach it. And now we're not doing a backup, we're doing a transfer from Fab's Auto Backup. Now we transfer the data and then we're good. But you want to get the software installed first. An example, Chrome, Firefox. If they have that on their old system, you need to put that on the new system before you transfer the data, or it's not going to take. So make sure you know all of the software. Another thing, if it's transferring, because even if it's a new computer, most likely we're replacing an older system. We take a picture of on our phone of the screen of the location of their icons. And we get them to try to clean it up before we do that transfer. Then we have a fighting chance of putting things in the right location for the shortcuts. Now that we have that, let's take, and on the Adobe, which Adobe are we using? And we have the proper one installed. So if you're just doing Adobe Reader, you go to adobe.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there you'll find Adobe Acrobat Reader. And remember, when you're downloading it, uncheck all the junk that they're going to try to install, like McAfee Security Scan Plus. We don't want that. So I always click more download options, and then we pick the appropriate operating system, the language, of course 64-bit, and we uncheck to install McAfee. If we have the Adobe login, now we're signing into Adobe and downloading Adobe DC, Adobe Acrobat DC, not the Reader. So not the free version. Okay. It's time for Windows tweaks. What are our tweaks? I still live in Control Panel because I can't help myself. Gotta have Control Panel. And one of the first things we go to is Network and Sharing Center. I make sure it's a private network. Then we'll go to Change Adapter Settings. We right click, we go to Properties, then I go to Configure, and we turn off, and of course here I didn't. How about that on my test system? I like this. So allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. No, we don't want that. And I would do this for all of the network adapters. There's a few settings. Let's go back. Let's go change adapter settings. Nope. Give me a second here. Boop, 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 boop. You know what? I'm trying to figure out where. Oh, it's power options. I'm sorry. So after networking, we go to power. My son does this so much faster than me. And I should have been working. I didn't get our checklist, and I really should have had that. So we go to power options. And once we get into power options, and I'm clicking on that right now. Now, choose what the power button does. We turn off the fast startup, which I know is recommended. That causes a lot of problems. If it's not a laptop, we turn off sleep, we turn off hibernate. Change settings that are currently unavailable, and this is how you get them not grayed out. Now, we want high performance. Choose a customized power plan. If you don't have a high performance option, that's okay. You can go in there and you can create your own. So on our test system here, I have turned off the display in 2 hours. Never put the computer to sleep. Then go to change advanced. We never want the hard drive turned off. So if you want it turned on forever, which is what I do, we put a 0 there. Now sleep. We sleep after, never, I pick. Allow hybrid sleep, off. Hibernate after, never. We go to USB settings. We don't want USB devices to be turned off. So USB selective suspend setting, disable it. Then click apply. See, here you go, our own test system, and I don't have all those options. So that's kind of good. So you're seeing me actually change it. Now we save the changes, and now this computer will not go to sleep. These are our power tweaks that my son will go through and do them so fast. Going in, changing so your network adapter doesn't go to sleep. I'm looking, I do have a little list, and yes. Okay. File folder views. So let's go to control panel again. And I hate the fact that Windows does not allow extensions by default. I can't stand that. File Explorer options, view, show hidden files, folders, and drives. Hide empty drives, uncheck. Hide extensions for known file types. Are you kidding me? Absolutely uncheck that. Here's what bothers me. Hiding extensions for known file types. That means, what if they accidentally change a default program to open up a PDF? Or I had someone treat an Excel file like it's a PDF. Well, nothing would open. Everything was messed up. Well, they didn't know what they were looking at. They just seen the icon. They thought it was a PDF. They didn't have extensions on. They didn't know it was an XLS being opened as a PDF. So this is just one of my pet peeves, one of my annoyances. When I'm working on a system for the first time, I have to change these. I have to in order to work. Let's take a look. There's a couple other settings here. Here's one, and it's more Windows 11, and I'm going to describe it, which the toolbar, the start menu on Windows 11 is in the center. That freaks people out if it's the first time they're going to Windows 11. So instead of doing a different shell or some kind of other program, you can easily click the taskbar, right-click, and go through the options. It's very simple to find. Hey, make that the center. And then turn off widgets and turn off some of those other options for the start menu to make it at least give the appearance that it's like Windows 10. So I've started doing that. Also, I make a solid color of the background, and it just makes them feel better. Now, if I'm transferring from an older system, hey, we got their background, and we're going to make sure that the background is the same. So let me review what we do real fast. Moving that over on another system here. Let's go through this. Create a local account. Updates. Check device manager. 9-night. Install everything that the user's going to need, plus the things you want. Like, we want VLC for them. We want 7-zip. If they don't bring their own antivirus with them, it's going to be Malwarebytes for us. That's our default. Then Adobe Acrobat, then the tweaks. Power options, network tweaks, file folder views, taskbar for Windows 11, and something I have here at the end, but I did in the beginning. Hey, uninstall all unnecessary apps. You don't need it. Then we have a couple custom things we then have to do. We install Instant House Call for one way of remote support. If it's a retainer client, we select unattended mode and have it set up. If they are not a retainer client, we just leave it there so the icon, and if they want support, they can click it. And the same with Synchro. If it is a retainer client that we have a regular contract with, we will put Synchro to completely manage that asset. And then we most likely already have a policy for what we're monitoring and what we're doing and how we're applying updates. And so, Austin, they're the extra things that we do that I just wanted to put in there. I don't see a difference between a personal system or a business system, quite frankly, unless for our personal systems. Our personal system, it is a business system. So we're not, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not optimizing anything for games. That could be different if you're, dealing with personal systems and you maybe need to optimize the graphics driver or, for the games that person's playing. So you can go deeper into the personal configurations, but I wanted to just broadly cover what we do. And it sounds like a lot, and it is, but we do it so fast, and it's manual. We have not scripted that. I know I've talked about different scripting options that listeners have shared and different things where you could automate all of that. I understand. As a matter of fact, I've seen the scripts, and we could do it with Synchro. Get Synchro on there first, and then send the script to use Chocolatey and installing different programs for us. I know we could do that, and we just haven't. And this is where we get burdened, where we now have a whole bunch of systems coming at the same time that we're configuring. And if I'm going to be doing those 12 laptops, we're going to do an image. It's going to be a Cronus, and we will have a system image that will then blow down to all of them. And we won't have to worry about all of that. It'll be standard setup. Let's see what else. I think I covered everything. If there is something glaring that I've missed, please email me, and that's MikeTechShow@gmail.com. If you need help, email me, and we can work out. I have a consultant-to-consultant fee where if you need some advice or you need some help, I'll be glad to help. We could schedule some time and work that all out. Austin, great question and email, and it just lined up perfect with everything that we're doing right now. So I wanted to make sure that the next show right after 877 was covering this. Big email from Kate. Hello, Mike. Couple of things regarding show 877, and weirdly, everything somehow involves Malwarebytes, which you did not, in fact, mention in the show. And it's interesting, Kate, after reading this, I have not run into what you're running into, which is kind of interesting. First, well, no, I do run into this. First, the NurseSoft launcher is great. I used something to do with it on just about every call I ever made when I was working. Kate's retired now. And I still keep it around and update it to help look after the computers we have here at home. I use it as part of the Windows Repair Toolbox utility, which you've talked about before. Yes, that's another great program. The launcher can update itself and all the tools inside it in one fell swoop. But because some of those tools are password recovery utilities, yes, Malwarebytes will block the download unless you tell it not to do that. And I think I've trained my Malwarebytes so this way it's not doing that right now. So will Fab's Auto Backup, by the way, when you're backing up a profile. I guess that's just Malwarebytes doing its job. But if you forgot to allow the password stuff, or if the path changes, say on the hard drive you're connecting to the computer for backup, it's annoying. So last night, as I sat down to pass this on to you, I opened up my Firefox, and my RoboForm browser extension had completely lost its way. I couldn't get to any information. Let me tell you, that would scare me because I rely on that so much. She continues, trying to open it just gave me a blank screen with the blue loading progress circle. And the extension had a red rectangle with blinking white dots. This lasted for an hour before I did anything about it. I checked that Firefox had that extension and it was up to date. And I turned the extension off and on again because, well, you know. Also, same thing in Chrome. I opened the ticket with RoboForm. They were prompt and helpful. quoting the ticket, hello. Usually a red icon displayed on the RoboForm icon for Firefox is related to a new indicator for RoboForm processing of page information. This includes reading and analyzing the page, evaluating matching logins, and so on. It also may be shown when some security software interferes with RoboForm extension. Please try to add RoboForm program folder, they give the whole folder, to the list of exceptions in all your security software and browser extensions. So that was from RoboForm. Kate continues, I didn't have that path. For me, it was C program files, cyber systems, AI, RoboForm. And when I added it to Malwarebytes allow list and chose exclude from all and restarted the computer, everything worked as before. Before I get them to close the ticket, I reported this to them and asked what has changed. Again, quoting the ticket, thank you for your reply. We have received similar reports from our users that Malwarebytes interferes with RoboForm. How come I have not run into that? So now I don't know who updated what. I'll tell you, when in doubt, I do blame Malwarebytes because they tend to, when they do an update, though it's been a while, they've been very, very good the last couple years, but in the past, they've broken other things with their update not going through the proper process it probably should have for testing. She goes on, I know you must have customers using RoboForm and Malwarebytes. I do, and I have not run into this. Maybe this will save you some time. Hope so. And, Taz in the chat just confirmed too. So that's interesting. And thank you for that, Kate. And we got more to talk about here. That I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'm going to share this with my son because that's a very interesting, easy fix too, which is just get that path added in to the allow list and move on. We have other programs that Malwarebytes has interfered with that I've never talked about because they're very specific in a vertical market for that client that we have to exclude anytime we're deploying a computer in there. So, and that's something I didn't add, which I should have. There are certain client-specific things that have to go to the new computer. Example, ordering a new computer now for one of our attorneys. So we got to add them to the server. We have a whole lot of things. We have to deploy BitLocker and encrypt the system, before we bring it down. So lots of little things that are custom to the client. And so that's why I just, wanted to make sure. Marius in the chat says, same here. No issues with Malwarebytes and RoboForm. Very, very interesting, Kate. All right. Final comments. Kate continues. The junk tag thing. Several years ago, I had this problem with one of my customers, and strangely, just one. He was using Outlook to collect his IMAP email directly from the telco internet provider. Eventually, I got him to stop doing all that. And he was getting a spam tag. I had to unarchive some notes from 6 years ago to remind myself what we finally did to solve it. And as you may already have imagined, we tried lots of things. Here are the things we did. Created an Outlook rule, pretty much as you described, and as you would expect, it kept these things in his inbox, but they still had the tag. Checked his security softness. In fairness, it wasn't Malwarebytes. It was, I think, Bitdefender. Can't read my own handwriting. And there was something there that was checking for spam. It wasn't what was tagging it, but hey, it's worth mentioning. We called the telco ISP, made a pot of coffee, and eventually got this thing escalated to a second level tech who had seen this problem before. It was something on their end that was tagging messages as spam. See, I really think this is a SureWeb issue. Without customer email client rules, these messages would just end up in the email client spam folder, where they would languish and die if the email was pop. But where they would keep showing up on every freaking device in the household via IMAP. Yes. We got them to turn it off. I don't know what they turned off, but it took about 48 hours for whatever they did to propagate through their network, and it was fine after that. So, long story short, call SureWeb and tell them you made a rule and you checked all your customer security software and asked them to fix it. It's coming from them. Monday, August 7th is a static holiday in Canada. Yes, because SureWeb is in Canada, which Kate knows. So thanks for all you do. Take good care. Kate, thank you for doing all that legwork and reporting back on, following up on all those things. Great information, and I thank you so much. Okay, couple other follow-ups real quick. Email. This is from Kim. This is regarding to the Zoom.us issue. Have you tried connecting through a VPN? No. And that's on a list to try because we just found out something. The router, and I cannot find the rule, and I'm going to throw this out there if someone can. Why would a router, if we connect to it via Wi-Fi, would allow you to go to the website, but if you're connected via an Ethernet cable, it blocks it? And not all websites, just some, where the Zoom.us is one of them. So we found this. Now, I do have a VPN on there. You make a very good point, because technically that should work, because the VPN, it depends, do we have split tunneling on or off, because we kind of want it off so this way it would funnel any web traffic through that VPN, especially back to their office. So very, very interesting, but we've narrowed it down to the router, and I have to follow up with the user it's a Verizon home router, and it's for Fios, and it is a newer router. So, or wait, it's newer than what I have, but there might be a firmware update or something that needs to be done that might fix this. So we'll keep you posted. Last, Arturo commented on show 876, my problem with Splashtop on a Mac. There's so many things to enable, I have to check this when I'm back at the client. He reports enable screen share on the new Mac so you can use Splashtop to remote in. And I have not checked that. I've checked screen recording. I've checked all the other, access to the whole disk and file and folders and everything. I don't know if I checked enable screen share, which I know is so obvious. So anyway, let's that's interesting. And Steve in the chat confirms spot on regarding Splashtop on a Mac. Thank you. All right, that's it. I think I'm caught up on emails and everything, and that's it. So remember, visit YouTube if you want to see the video for this at youtube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. And hey, click subscribe while you're there. Don't forget to email me any feedback, MikeTechShow@gmail.com. Don't forget the Discord forums. I have been very negligent because I've been so busy. I haven't been spending time there. I promise I'm trying to check on that more often. And you can click on the free invite for Discord by just going to the show notes at MikeNation.net or MikeTechShow.com. It'll flip you right there. That's it for tonight's show. I will be back hopefully next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye, everybody.